Good evening. Hello, my Insta fam. Hey, Amaya Liz. Um, Welcome to another episode of Change Talk. It's Thursday night. It's 9 o'clock. My name's Tiffany Jenkins, and this is Change Talk Live every Thursday night. I try to jump on for at least a little bit and say hi and leave some tips and some nuggets about a variety of things related to behavioral health, self care, leadership, all that other good stuff. Hey, Doc. Um, and so tonight, the topic is we're going to be talking about toxic positivity. So I posted something on our socials. I think it was Monday and Tuesday, just about being kind to yourself, watching the way you speak to yourself and just kind of giving yourself grace, right? And it kind of got me thinking that sometimes our way of reversing that negative self-talk is thanks, Doc. One of the ways we have to kind of flip that negative self-talk sometimes is by using this toxic positivity, right? It's It sounds like an oxymoron because why would positivity be toxic? But that's exactly what we're going to dig into tonight. As always, if you happen to be catching this on the replay, if you kept if you catch me getting tongue tied on IGTV a little bit later, that's fine. Put hashtag replay in the comments and participate as if you were here live with us, because I want you to share in the experience as much as possible. Um, Hold on, looks like I'm having some technical difficulties here. Um, I'm not sure that my Facebook fam is connected. All right. Not sure what's going on. Hopefully, I will be able to repost this a little bit later because it is being recorded. But like I said, we're going to talk about toxic positivity. We're going to talk about what it is, what it's not. We're going to talk about how we can do better with this, all that kind of good stuff, just to get this conversation rolling a little bit. Um, hmm. Something's going on with the Facebook connection. I'm not sure why, so just bear with me 1 second. I want to make sure that our Facebook fam can join in the conversation. This is the joys of technology. All right. So as always, like I said, if you happen to be joining us on the replay, just hit hashtag replay and I will make sure that I am participating and engaging with your comments. Okay. So let's get started. So toxic positivity, what is it? Toxic positivity is really an obsession with positive thinking. It is, you've probably seen folks say good vibes only. It could be worse. Don't think about it that way. It's not that bad. And when folks typically say this to us, or even when we say it to ourselves, we're not saying it from a place of, or at least we're not trying to say it from a bad place and to be negative and to be dismissive of our feelings, except that's exactly what ends up happening, right? When we um when we try to make everything all nice and fluff it up and make it, too nicey, what we really do is we end up invalidating our feelings or the feelings of the person that we happen to be communicating with. And so Toxic positivity, one of the things that makes it so toxic is that it completely disregards what the person is feeling in that moment, right? It makes it very difficult for me to open up to you and say, I'm really hurting right now, if the only thing you want me to do is look on the bright side. And it could be worse, and all that other kind of stuff. You really minimize my feelings, right? The other thing it does, if you're not careful, toxic positivity triggers what we call shame based thoughts, shame based thinking. What do I mean by that? Shame says I am something wrong. Guilt says I did something wrong, right? So when you start with the whole, oh, no, 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 just, get over it. It's fine. Everything will work out. Like, don't worry about it. You always get through this. You're a champ. You're a pro at this, whatever. What it can trigger for the person who's hearing that is, okay, so then what's wrong with me that I can't pull through it now? What's wrong with me that this time is different and I can't shake this weight? I can't shake this heaviness now, right? And that can actually trigger a downward spiral, depression, anxiety, worsening of our mood, an increase of the symptoms, which is the exact opposite of what we were trying to accomplish in the first place. So, what you got to understand is that being positive, right? Having a positive outlook, being a someone who always sees the bright side. There's nothing wrong with that in and of itself. It's how we express it that becomes toxic. So, I'm going to give you an example. Someone who may have always aced every exam that they've taken in their program of study comes up against a course that's a little more difficult than what they're used to. This course, for whatever reason, challenges them. It's a lot more writing than they're used to, whatever the case may be. And they say to you, like, I'm really struggling in this course this semester. This is really hard for me. Now, toxic positivity would say, what are you worried about? You're a straight A student. Like, you're nothing, none of this is hard for you. All of this comes easy for you, right? And you think that's a compliment. You think that you're supporting the person in that moment through whatever the issue is that they're having. But in reality, what you're doing is you're highlighting just how different this time is from the last time they've encountered something like this, right? So a better way to say it is, I know that it's probably really hard right now, and I'm sorry that you're having these problems, but how can I help you? Is there something I can do that can help you? Can I help you study? Can I help you access resources? Being there and being willing to help in that way, it shifts the whole conversation. So now I'm not looking at what's wrong with me and what I messed up on and what didn't work right. Now I'm more in the solution, right? So it actually accomplishes the thing that you set out to do, right? Another example, someone didn't get a job that they were applying for, and you say, oh, don't be sad, don't be upset about that. Another job, something else is right around the corner. Right. I think this is one that we all have probably been guilty of. Oh, don't worry about it. It's fine. Okay, it might be fine that I didn't get the job, but that doesn't say anything. Hey, Kirsch, that doesn't say anything, doesn't speak at all to the disappointment that I'm feeling in this moment, right? You didn't validate what it is that I told you I was upset about. I was upset about not getting this job or not getting called in for the interview. You didn't validate any of that. You didn't say anything about any of that. So another way of dealing with that would be to say, you know, it does suck right now. And I'm sorry that they couldn't see how awesome you are. I'm sorry that you didn't get that call. And I know that this really meant a lot to you. What can I do to help take your mind off of this? How can I help you prepare? Right? yes, you want to get the person's mind off of whatever the bad stuff is that's happening, but you want to do it in a way that supports and validates them. And we do this a lot with ourselves, right? When we are feeling some kind of icky feeling, whatever that icky feeling may be. It might be sadness, it might be panicked, it might be just kind of just not feeling good. Excuse me. One of the things that we often tell ourselves is, well, it could be worse. There are people who have it much worse than me. And while that may be true, you still have the right to feel exactly how you feel, right? So switching that and saying to yourself, yes, I'm feeling this feeling right now. I'm going to lean into how I feel. I'm going to embrace this feeling right now, but it doesn't mean I have to stay here forever. I'm going to give myself a day. I'm going to give myself an hour. I'm going to give myself a little bit to really just kind of feel what I'm feeling, be a little sad, be a little upset, but then what can I do to help myself come out of it, right? I'm going to give you a final example of toxic positivity that probably every parent that I know has said to their child. Okay. And this one is probably going to sting a little bit for parents because all of us have probably said it either as parents or heard it as children, right? The kid says, I'm hungry. And you say, okay, these are the options. This is what we have to eat, right? And the parents say, okay, well, this is what we have to eat. You know what I mean? And the kid said, well, I don't want this. And here's the line. There are starving children in Africa. How many people have heard that before? They're starving. Well, when I was younger, it was they're starving children in Africa because there were for just 50 cents a day, you can feed this hungry child ads. Now we don't even have to say in Africa. We can say there are starving children everywhere, right? But that's usually the comeback that somehow your feeling in this moment is not valid because someone else somewhere else has it worse. That's not the best thing to say. Okay. I'm an empath. I'm gonna say go see a therapist. Yes, you are gonna say go see a therapist. But I also know that because you're an empath, you're probably gonna take on too much of it before you tell them to go see a therapist, doc. But we won't go there. Kersha, yes. I think we've all had that experience. We've all had that experience. And that's why I say toxic positivity most times is very well intentioned, right? There's a refrigerator full of food. See, I like your sons. They called you out on the starving kids in Africa because it's not productive. Like, what does the starving child somewhere else have to do with my hunger right now? Right. And it's all well intentioned, right? As parents, we're trying to help our children see their privilege, right? And what they have and help them to be thankful for what they have and teach them about, not necessarily being wasteful. Like they're all good lessons that we're trying to teach them, but the delivery of it still falls in this category. And here's the thing. There's a lot of wiggle room here, right? Because what may be toxic what may be toxic to one person might actually work for somebody else, right? So that's the tricky thing about this. I'm not saying to never ever, try and be a bright light in someone's day. I'm not saying don't, try and help them navigate it. But what I'm saying is that there is a point at which what you're doing, trying to help, is really hurting. And if we're really trying to help folks and we're really trying to walk alongside people and help them with whatever it is that they're dealing with, we have to be conscious of these things, right? So I like to think of it in this way. The antidote for toxic positivity, if the toxic positivity is the poison, then the antidote to that is going to be validation and hope, right? Validation and hope. How do you validate what someone is feeling and give them hope that it's going to get better? Well, one of the really simple tools that I like to try and use is called the four gates of speech, right? There are four gates. And this is from Buddhist philosophy, at least that's where it seems to come from. That there are four gates that everything that you say needs to or should pass through if it's worth communicating to someone else. Yes, Kersha, he will be there eventually. Just give him time. Um, he's gonna get you, and it's gonna happen when you least expect it. So here are the four gates of speech, right? Before you say anything, and I would challenge you before you even speak to yourself in the way that you think about yourself, like those inner thoughts that may not necessarily come out, but they're the way that you talk to yourself. I want you to check and make sure that your words or your thoughts can get through these four gates. If you've worked with me in any capacity, you know that I talk about the four gates all of the time when we're talking about communication, right? And I think on one of the shows we talked about it as well when we were talking about effective communication. But the four gates are just this. The first one is it true? Whatever you are thinking, whatever you are about to say, is it true? Right? If it's true and that gate opens, then you can proceed. Right? So is it, and I'm going to tell you how this gets tricky with toxic positivity. Is it true that things will get better? Yes. So it would technically pass through that first gate. But remember, there are three other gates that we have to get through, right? The second one, is it necessary? This is where it starts to get a little tricky. Is it absolutely necessary for you to tell me in this moment that things are going to get better? Is that necessary? Like, what is that going to do? Hey, how are you? What is that going to do? Now, if it's going to help me pull up out of my rut where I am, then absolutely it is necessary, right? So you may have gotten through two gates. Is it the right time? This is usually the gate that will not open if you are using toxic positivity. Why? Because if you have not yet taken time to validate my feelings about wherever I am, then it's not the appropriate time to try and infuse some, flowery thing into the conversation. Remember, I said the antidote for toxic positivity is validation and hope. Not validation or hope. You have to have both of them. You have to validate the person's right to feel exactly how they feel. And then you can work on giving them some hope in whatever way is native to them. Right. And then the fourth one is it kind? Are you saying something from a pure place that is kind, that is going to be effectively received by the person that you are communicating it with, right? So is it true? Is it necessary? Is it the right time? Is it kind? And within all of that, did you first validate before you tried to offer hope? If you follow that prescription, you should be able to avoid, in theory, a lot of the pitfalls of toxic positivity, especially now. A lot of folks throughout this past, 14 months now that we've been in this lockdown have been overwhelmed, have been really stressed out. And what they've been hearing is not validation and hope. It's been a lot of, well, at least you got some extra unemployment. Well, at least all of the bills are paid. Well, at least you still have a job for the frontline workers. Well, at least you didn't lose anybody to COVID. Well, at least you recovered from COVID. There's a lot of that that's being spread in the name of hope and help, and it really isn't either of those things. So hopefully you can follow this formula and it'll help you learn how to be, one, more supportive of others, but more importantly, help you kind of check the way you're talking to yourself and help you be a little bit kinder to you. because while it seems that we're coming out of this thing, this COVID quarantine lockdown situation, we want to make sure that we're coming out better than we went in. And sometimes that just means having some better habits, being kinder and gentler to ourselves than we were before. It doesn't have to mean that you started 6 businesses and you went on 25 trips and you got 35 passport stamps. And no. Have you changed the way that you speak to yourself? If that's the only thing that you've accomplished in these last 14 months, I'd say you're ahead of the game, because we are always our own worst critic. And we give as much toxic positivity to ourselves as we disperse to anybody else. So remember, toxic positivity, it is a sincere obsession with positive thinking. And really it comes from our pain avoidance. As humans, we don't want to be in pain, and we can't stand to see other people in pain. It's pain avoidance, right? So it's from a pure place, but it can still be destructive, right? Ever heard the saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions? That's kind of what this is. So we reverse that trend by sharing validation first. You have to validate the person's right to feel the way they feel before you can try and offer them hope. So hopefully this helps and you found this useful. It looks like some of my Facebook fam was able to connect after all. I'm not sure what happened with our technical difficulties, but the replay will be available. If you happen to have come in late, or are catching this on replay, just feel free to start it over. Hashtag replay in the comments and participate as if you were here, because I'll still be able to see the comments. I'll still be able to engage with you. And that's pretty much what I like to do. What I want to do is I want to leave you guys with a call to action. I'm going to challenge you tonight, and even really over the course of this next week, to really think about how you talk to yourself when things get rough. I want you to think about, are you one of those tough love folks who feel like you got to knock yourself upside the head to get it right? Are you one of those folks who is, falling into this category of toxic positivity and just invalidating your own feelings? I want you to be a little bit more aware, a little bit more mindful of how you are communicating with yourself. Because if you can do that, it really is going to have a ripple effect and really impact how you communicate with others, right? So be mindful of that. Take stock of that. And I really want to know how you do with this. So message me on Facebook or Instagram. You can drop me a message on the website, which is www.awakeningchange.org. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, just drop a message in the DM. Let me know how you're doing with this. Are you struggling with this? Is this something that comes easy for you? Was this new information for you? I want to hear about it. I want to hear how you're doing. And then secondly, don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. There are some really, really exciting things coming. And if you are already on our newsletter mailing list, then you've already received that. The full announcement of everything that's coming up, I'll be making actually next week. I'll actually share a little bit now. So I wrote a book. Yay! Wrote a whole book. It's a workbook. And so next week, I'm going to kind of share a little bit more information about that book and some of the things that are associated with that book. That'll be coming out the end of June, early July-ish is kind of where we're slated to be. But if you are on the mailing list and you've already heard all about it, and you already had an opportunity to get in on a pre-order offer that was sent out. So thank you to all the folks on the mailing list. Yes to the book, Doc. um, if you're already on that mailing list, then great. If you're not, it's still not too late because there are going to be some special offers and coupons that get sent. Yes, Dr. Carrie has already ordered hers. Thank you very much, Kersha. Um, so you might want to check your email if you're on the mailing list. If you're not on the mailing list, go ahead and subscribe. The June newsletter will be out soon, and you'll have another opportunity to get in before it's too late. Um, let's see. I think that I have covered everything. As always, if there's a topic of conversation that you'd like to hear me discuss and give my kind of 2 cents on, drop it in my DMs if you're on Facebook or Insta, or just visit the website www.awakeningchange.org. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your feedback about the show. Until next time, I'll see you guys same time, same station, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I often forget to specify that, but I'm 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time every Thursday, on Insta Live, on Facebook Live, and live on YouTube and Periscope. So thank you guys so much for joining me for another week, and take care. I'll see you guys soon.